Today we're going to take a look at the bumper video for Rock Point Church's recent sermon series, Wear It. In a recent video, I talked about how I made the graphics package for the sermon series, but didn't have time to include what I did for the bumper video. So today I'm going to react to it. I'm going to tell you what I like and what I don't like about it. And I'm going to show you everything that you need to know to make a video like this for your church. And don't worry, I'm going to keep the technical stuff at the end so that if you're just somebody who's interested in seeing what it's like to make things for the church, you can get an idea. But then for those of you who may be creators in your church, the back half is going to be for you. I'm going to show you everything you need to know. Let's dive into it today. All right, I've got a lot of thoughts about this video overall. The things that I like, it's simple, it's clean, and it's effective in its communication. I think it's got good kinetic energy because of these transitions, which I'll talk about in the back half of this video when I talk about how you make this kind of video. But I think the strongest part of it is just a really clear script. It's a passage from the text that's going to be preached from Ephesians chapter 4. It highlights what's most important about why the series is called Wear It, which is the idea of putting off the old self and putting on the new self in Christ. I like that I got to add a pirate flag to a church video. That's not very common, especially for a church in the Midwest, but I thought that was a super fun element that apparently the pastors liked as well because we left it in. This is AI generated video based off of the AI generated image for the series. You can check out my last video for a more in-depth explanation of how I got to this graphic for the graphics package, but I was able to put this image into a image generator and it put out some work that was good enough to go into this video. I thought that was a super interesting piece. It helped to tie together the beach to the beach house portion of the graphics. Overall, it's a video that'll keep your attention. It'll give you a little bit to think about week over week, so hopefully it doesn't get too stale. That's kind of one thing I try to do with bumper videos, especially because the congregation is going to be watching this over and over again for however long this series is. So I want to put little details in that you might not notice on the first viewing, but you might see on the 5th or the 6th or the 7th viewing, just so that it keeps some interest. The helpful part about this is that keeping an audience's attention on this video for 100% of the time over 10 weeks is not the goal. The video itself is the win in that we don't have to use prayer, which we believe is an element of our worship, at the same level as singing and submitting to the authority of preaching. It means that we don't have to always use prayer as a transition. It means that things can be going on the stage to transition on and off, but we don't have to use prayer to cover that up so where it doesn't feel all awkward and all of that. So the video itself is a win. I like it a lot. I think the strength of the script, if you take a look at this, you can see this even in my project files. There's a clear 3 sections and then some mini sections on the inside, but there is an intro, there is a body, and there is a conclusion. That is the basis of good communication. The intro tells you what you're going to see, the conclusion tells you where you're going, and the body is all about elaborating on it. It's a good length. It's right between 30 and 32 seconds, so it's not too long. A couple of things that I don't love about this is it is kind of a lot of text. I didn't do a great job of working with the client to edit this down so that it was even more specific. But like I said, it means that you could read it more and more over the course of multiple weeks. Gives you some details to pay attention to. There's good contrast between all of the text and the backgrounds. I never lose or misunderstand what the text is, which is good. But the text was honestly animated pretty quickly. This is not like a very in-depth animation, which it doesn't have to be. Like I said, this was a simple video, simple goal, and it's very effective in that, but I would have liked to see a little bit more in the end of that. But overall, pretty strong. This is not the best animation into a title graphic that I've ever done in the past, although it kind of draws the audience in. Again, simple but good. So if you're a creative in the church and you want to create a video like this and you've never done it before, how do you do it? Well, here's how. I'm going to tell you how I think about developing a video. I'm going to show you the resources that I use to create this very video, and I'm going to tell you absolutely everything you need to know to get started. So again, the basis of good communication is usually introduction, body, conclusion. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you told them. You want to have clear phases of a story that progresses. Otherwise, it's not going to hold anybody's attention. It's just going to be fluff. We don't want this to be fluff. We want this to be something that's worth putting up on our screens. So for this one, we have an introduction, which is this film burn, which kind of gets you ready for the style of the video. And then there's the actual script of the video, which is a scripture reference that is so often the easiest thing to use for video, for the church. Goes all the way through to the end. It's got clear sections to it. And then I've got an animation into the title graphic. You don't have to do some kind of animation like this if that's not what you're already good at. You don't have the time to work on it. This is something that I've done for over 8 years now, and it's something that I think is a hallmark of a video that I do in this kind of context where I don't want to just throw up the graphic next. I want the congregation to be in the moment before they realize that they're in the moment. It gives a little bit of a psychological edge for a pastor even to be able to dive straight in and it be really smooth and cohesive. I think that's good storytelling. I think that's good communication. That's a way that I get to support what a pastor is doing on stage through the visuals that are supporting him. So if you're wanting to make a video like this for your church, think about the script, think about the story. What are you progressing from point A to point B? How do you condense a little bit of what your pastor is trying to say in a series and show it visually on the screen? That's really all that this is. And you can see it doesn't have to be super complicated. It can be very, very simple. And then you support that story through the visuals. For this, it was just stock footage, right? Not a lot going on here. I get my stock footage most often from Envato Elements. It's a paid service that I pay for myself through my company. They've got a great library that you can pull from. Easy to use, does not have to be something you source on your own. I will say the videos that I've gotten to shoot myself, of course, are so much more fun and even more meaningful to me as a creator. But there is absolutely no shame in pulling stock footage from the internet as long as you're getting it in a legal, licensed way and you're staying above board. Envato Elements is a great opportunity for that. I'm not sponsored by them, just love to use it. I got the music for this track from artlist.io. It's where I usually get all of my stock music that I license for videos. It doesn't always work out this well, but the track for this was called Just a Boy Doing Jesus Things by Vic Davey. Good job, Vic. You're making my job easy. The texture elements, especially these whip pan transitions, as well as the film grain that's over on top of everything, the things that for me make this look less digital and more professional, more human, more compelling. I love the resources that are available through Happy Editing. Used to be Ezra Cohen. Ezra Cohen is a video editor who's got some national renown, especially in Christian circles, and he puts out some amazing content through his website. It's a little more pricey if you're on a budget, but it's really, really good quality stuff. I use it on every single video project that I have and have for the last several years. And then let me show you how simple this text animation is so that you don't have to be super intimidated to try something like this on your own. All I did was I created a text layer within Premiere Pro or whatever video editor you're using. You can do this as long as it has different layers and you can edit them separately. And here's how I do this. So notice there's just a couple of cuts. I've got the text here. Now this I say, testify in the Lord, you must no longer walk as the Gentiles do in the futility of their minds. And then all I'm doing is I'm changing the font weight for some of the words, right? So that to the beats of the music, there is some motion to the text. The human brain is created by God to notice motion. And so whenever there's motion, whenever there's change, it causes you to perk up a little bit more and pay more attention. But here's how easy this is. What I do at the beginning, and I'll just unenable these layers real quick, is I would take this layer, and I'll put it above here just to demonstrate, and I make it as long as I want the moment to be. And then you can see I already have markers here. But what I would go through is I would just play this, and I would put markers on it, just like that. I'll remove those because I don't need them. And then I'm going to use my razor tool, and I'm going to just cut this up on those beats that I set, and then go in and manually change the text. So I'm just going to select You Must Know, go to the Properties panel, and I'm just going to change the weight of the text to bold, and then in the next one, You must no longer. Change it to bold. You must no longer walk. Bold. and then land where I want it to land, as the Gentiles do. So I can watch that back. Simple text animation. Took me just a minute, but it adds a little bit of motion to keep the congregation more engaged as they're watching. I'm thinking about doing another video where I show primarily how I do this kind of animation at the end, where it animates the title graphic onto the screen at the end of the video so that it's super cohesive. If you actually put the video and the title graphic in a ProPresenter file together, there will be no seams. That's a hallmark of my video style. It's something that I've learned how to do over time, and I really enjoy doing it. It's a good challenge, and it helps when I'm developing the whole package, because I actually think of my title graphics in that frame of mind. Like, how am I going to animate this onto the screen? Is there something that's going to help me actually make that a really cohesive motion to signal that we're through with one moment and into another moment? And I guess I should mention, with the audio track, I'm not using the full audio track. This is only a 30-second video, and so what I did was I listened through to the track and I just cut it up on the beats where I needed to and crossfaded where I needed to. There's a couple different ways you can do that, just depends on your video editor. So I took this intro and faded it in. And then I'm editing to the beats, because I really think that the audio is so important that I want the visuals almost to be supporting the audio in some cases. If my cuts aren't on the audio, there's ways that that's totally fine. But for me, it actually keeps it really simple, that I want to be editing to the audio track so that it's just a really easy way to make things feel like they really fit together. Kind of the last trick that I have, I guess it's a trick. One of the things that I do for almost every single video is I really focus on the transition moments between kind of sections. So we already talked about there's an intro, there's kind of a body, and then there's a conclusion, but there's these little moments in between that break it all up. Now, if I was to just take some of these moments out, take a look at how this feels. If I was to expand this, and it just goes from one side to the next, one slide to the next. That's okay, but take a look at it with this little transition moment. That feels so much better. It feels so much more pro. It's kind of a hack in a way. It's the same thing that I talked about of when I'm animating the text. What I'm trying to do is create motion that draws attention so that the attention span of the viewer is lengthened. This is the same thing. I've heard music industry professionals talk about how they have to change something in a song every 10, 20, or 30 seconds to preserve audience retention, to keep our ears moving. And there's a little bit of that in this. Now, I don't really have like a set amount of time that I need to switch things up. It's usually just based on the feel of the video. I love to break up one text to another. I want to have something breaking that up. When I use a transition like this, what I feel like it does is it draws me back in so that I'm paying attention to the beginning of the next text line. I might be starting to lose attention after I've already read the text from section 1, and then if I go straight into section 2, there might not be enough contrast that I even realize in time the text has changed. I might be missing what's going on. So the transition kind of cues my brain, hey, there's something else important coming up. And it does all of that without having to say, hey, there's something important coming up. So overall, this is a very simple video. I think this is a highly recreatable video. And if you're trying to get into making videos for the church, for your church or for other churches, you can feel free to use this as a model. I think this is a very simple idea. It's an intro, it's a body, and it's a conclusion. It's got transitions, it's got texture work that you can try to recreate. The text animation is very simple, and ultimately, it's just serving its purpose. It's providing a transition moment for our service so that we can focus on what's most important, which is our corporate worship through prayer and reading and preaching the word. So if you have any questions about this video or about other videos, if there's something that you want to see specifically, leave a comment below and let me know what you want to see. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. And of course, a special shout out to Deanna Brainerd, DJoy365, for sharing our post on social media. Thank you so much. Every little bit helps. We've now crossed the 150 subscribers mark. If you share any of our social media posts for the next 2 weeks, you can let me know and you'll get your own shout out in a video. Can't wait to see it. See you guys in the next video.